So welcome back to this video on how to play Dueling Grounds, the complete ultimate beginner guide. I'm your friendly guy, the VR Compass. So let's dive into this tutorial. So when you spawn into the game, you will spawn in here, and this is basically the safe zone. So if you leave this green zone, you potentially get into combat with any other online player. So one of the first things you guys need to know is that as a beginner, you should probably stay here for the first minute when you start, because the moment you leave the safe zone is the moment you potentially enter combat. This game offers free-for-all, free roam combat engagements, meaning that the moment you step out of the safe zone, anyone is free to engage in a combat. Now, it's important to note that if you do lose a combat duel while you're playing around, don't worry, it doesn't affect your win to loss ratio. It just means that's how you're going to get some quick practice. So if you're looking at the controls and you are confused, I'll quickly explain what each of these do and why they're really, really useful. I've played this game across multiple different accounts, so I've got a good grasp on how to actually use every single movement ability when you need to. One of the first things you want to do is press 1, and that will equip your first weapon. So if you wonder what your weapon keybinds are, look at the bottom left and look at the bottom right, and that's where you'll see the two different sections for your different keybinds. Now, of course, it's going to be different on controller or mobile, but that's where you want to look for it to be able to show you guys. So let's actually go over the abilities so that you guys can understand exactly how to play the game. So one of the key abilities that's going to enable you to engage in any sort of combat and is ridiculously useful is, of course, the scroll button, okay? Now, I'm not sure what button this is on console, but this button, essentially, it might be LS when you click the button. Essentially, what it allows you to do is it allows you to lock onto someone. The reason that this is so useful is because when you attack now, your attacks are going to go towards that said person. This is one of the most useful things, and if you do want to quickly run around and use this, this is something that you can do. So if you are struggling in fights, I would say as a beginner, always make sure you're locked onto your opponent, because it means that you're always going to be facing them and you have the most chance when facing off with them. Now, of course, don't forget to unlock from your opponent if you aren't in a fight with them, because that's something that you don't want to stay locked on, of course, if you're not engaging with them. Now, one of the key movement abilities that most people do not use is the Q, which is the dodge ability. Most beginners that I've faced off when playing this game don't use the Q enough. Q is your way to get out of oncoming attacks, and this is something that is remarkably useful. So make sure that if you are in a fight and you keep getting hammered, use Q to create distance between you and the opponent, and that's going to help you out tremendously. Another ability that you do have is your F ability. This is your ability to block incoming attacks. What most beginners don't realize is this is by far the most powerful ability in the game. The reason I say that this is the most powerful ability in the game is because this ability to be able to block allows you to change and decide whether or not you're going to win the game or not. Essentially, as a beginner, what you want to do if you're facing someone who keeps attacking you is to tap F to be able to break open that combo, and then you want to essentially re-attack them. I'm going to show you guys some gameplay of where this has happened, and essentially what you need to do is just keep blocking. So essentially what you need to do is that if you just hold block, oftentimes they'll be able to attack you again and again, and they'll be able to break open that shield. So you cannot just simply hold this, you must time this while fighting, or else it simply won't work. I'll show you guys some gameplay on screen of why you need to be able to do that, because being able to block at the correct time manages to break others' combos, and that allows you to move forward. Now, of course, let's talk about the basic attacks. Your basic attacks is these. So your left click or your left S or your LS. Now, your basic attacks are super, super useful, and I would argue that they're the most useful thing that you have for offense. Using these, and honestly, I know this is going to sound a bit taboo, but at the lower ranks as a beginner, your best bet when you're playing your game is to just simply keep spamming this. The reason I say that is because most other beginners don't have any idea how to block these. So if you're able to spam these, you're able to hit basically a 3-hit combo, and then a red light comes up, and then that's when you're able to hit the kill move, where once again, you do one more basic attack, you're able to hit your opponent. Now, of course, you do have these heavy attacks. These heavy attacks honestly aren't that useful. The only way you want to use these heavy attacks is if you want to gain distance or if you want to close distance. But I would say heavy attacks for beginners are just completely useless. Only use them once you've played the game a bit more and you know when your opponent is going to be at a stage where they're much more less useless. Another ability that most people don't realize that you can have to be able to dodge stuff is the jump ability. So when you're jumping around, this is super useful because this means that you're able to avoid getting hit by certain things. And most people don't realize that jumping around is something that is super, super useful, because most people simply don't realize that this ability is useful. If you want to start a duel randomly with someone, if someone else is on a green pad, you can go on that green pad as well, and then you can start a duel with them. Now, when you're in a game, it's important to understand that you have 2 rounds to be able to finish off your opponent. Let's talk about how you should play this game as a beginner. So as a beginner, make sure you're avoiding your opponent. And like I said, use the Q ability to move back, because that's basically the best way to do it. Next, of course, make sure you're jumping around so that if they are coming towards you to attack, you're able to gauge your distance. Once you realize your enemy's patterns, you can then hit F, and then once you realize you're able to successfully parry their attacks, you're able to then engage on the counter. Let me show you guys an example of a simple combo. So here you can see I managed to hit the combo, and then on the final attack, I was able to hit them again. Like I said, most beginners benefit from hitting all of your basic attacks and then ripping that out right there. So you can see right here, sometimes the enemy does manage to get into that huge spam area, but all you do is you tap F as much as you physically can. And then once you do that, you then hit back with as many basic attacks as you can as possible. Here you can see I was able to beat someone relatively quickly and my health didn't even go down as much. This is going to be helping you out as a beginner as much as possible. Dodge your opponent and hit from another angle. Jump attacks are super useful because most people don't realize that they're a real thing that you can actually do, and you can deal significant damage by engaging with a jump attack. You can see I'm able to dodge sometimes by jumping, and most people, you can see this beginner right here, simply just doesn't use this ability at all. When you gain enough combos and enough attacks, your red bar will level up and you're going to be able to use your ultimate ability. It's always best to use your ultimate ability after a significant combo because that's when your opponent is weak. Here you can see I use my ultimate ability and this deals significant damage to my opponent and allows me to secure the victory. Honestly, once you're able to get your win, you're then going to be able to get more coins which you can use to upgrade for different weapons. Now, of course, you will have to play a few games before you're able to upgrade your weapon, but there are many different weapons that you can get. So unlock your mouse or your controller and then go to the store and look at what weapons you do want. If we go to our inventory, as a beginner, you only have the basic katana equipped. I wouldn't upgrade to any major other weapon until you fully mastered the katana. This is because you need to master your movement, your blocking abilities, and general gameplay ability before you move to other. When looking at other weapons, before deciding which weapon you do want to pick, make sure you look at the description of each single weapon because depending on your playstyle, some may be more beneficial than others. For example, the dual daggers are fast, relentless, and ideal for agile fighters who favor speed over strength. The naginata is a long-reaching weapon that delivers powerful strikes but is slow to recover. It's important to know that if you're using a naginata and you're facing someone with dual daggers, you're probably in an unfavorable matchup. This is because the dual daggers are super fast, but the naginata is a weapon that is super long ranged. You can see here that the gauntlets are heavy striking weapons that are built for non-stop pressure and unstoppable combos. And the kusarigama is unmatched range and attacks that pull enemies, and this weapon excels at controlling distance between fighters. Depending on which thing you struggle with most, I would say go with your specific playstyle. If you're someone who likes to play the gameplay a little bit slow, maybe just stick with the katana because it is super well balanced. If you're someone that enjoys playing the fast playstyle, use the dual daggers. But if you like playing super aggressively as well, maybe think about the gauntlets. But if you want to, have that long range, the naginata might be a weapon for you. Weapons. So I would say get around 10 wins first before moving on to other weapons. Another thing that you can see is that when you're playing the game, it's important to understand that you don't just have to go into a arena like this. You can, of course, hit the simple play button, and that's going to put you into a casual game. Usually what this will do is put you into a match with someone of a similar ability, but sometimes it will match you up with someone that has much more abilities than you. It's important to understand that it doesn't matter if you lose because the game never shows your losses, it only shows your wins. Another thing that's important to understand is that when you come across different opponents, they may have different weapons than you. It's important to know that those other weapons do have different distances and can sometimes hit you when you're out of range. The best bet I would say for you guys as beginners is combine your movement abilities to stay unpredictable. If you can stay unpredictable as possible, then you're going to be able to get a lot more damage off other than your opponent. Common engage ability is of course the jump attack. This does work very well. You can see my opponent used it against me. Another common engage ability is the dodge and then get inside, and that allows you to quickly close the distance. I would say as a beginner, the best thing you can do if you don't want to affect your kill death ratio, just practice with individuals in this area right here. If you want to challenge someone to a duel, the best thing you can do is just start attacking them and hope they attack you back. That way you're able to gain precious experience, especially with other weapons, and you're not going to be able to lose, okay?